Hey, if you'd like to see all the gear used to film this tour, including cameras, microphones, and travel accessories, head over to prowalktours.com by scanning the QR code on the screen. Now, let's explore one of America's most stunning national parks as we walk through the incredible Norris Geyser Basin in Yellowstone.
I think we're on that road.
Oh, it's like you were going an hour away and you were like, I think I'm like, okay, so I remember I think I did.
Cause yeah, that is like part of the park I've never seen before.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. 'Cause I've done
Five is a half a mile.
So there are. मेन पॉइंट ठीक है पानी बिनी तक भी गाड़ी
car that is not from anywhere around here.
Weren't they from Wyoming?
The license plate said Wyoming, but I've got money that that was a rental car. Yeah, I would guess that's here. The car was here. The driver. I would agree with you there. Every time we come to the apartment, slow down and
I would say no longer looks like it's happening. It's okay. It's dynamic.
I'm like not here left.
Una chupada de ese, ¿y qué ole? Le digo.
Cuando entrevistar era él.
Uy, no, pero dígame, pero la verga, dijo. Ah, ya estamos en vivo. Fall for some years here.
संडे को这个反正北京来，可以，插嘴真的啊。
I wish I had my video on. That was awesome. That was cool. Maybe we'll go off. I'm so excited. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. Don't worry, we'll share photos. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if we stay later, they said what, 10 seconds at 8 something today.
It doesn't have to be dark. Just
Yeah.
or the temperature starts dropping.
Yeah. So it's like scary.
maybe.
I feel like you wouldn't make it in.
No, I don't think that would be.
No. I can't take you out.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
想拍的那个树，
哪个树？
它前面那个杆子树，前面有一棵很干的树，正前方那个。
हाँ?
हाँ मतलब देखने में ऐसा लगता था क्या देख रहे हैं बट पता लगा कि क्या देख रहे हैं जब पता लगा कि क्या देख रहे हैं
Thank you guys for staying. I will answer any questions, but if there are none, we'll head back to the office. We do have a question. Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Oh, you're a junior ranger.
C'est un autographe.
Where are you from? And how long have you lived here?
So I've been here since June. This is my first season, so only a few months. No, I'm here seasonal. So I come here for the summer and then I head back home. Over and then usually
Он стрелял.
Он очень часто маленький.
Aynen iskelet.
Probably have some info on it too.
Jack, are you gonna say yeah?
Okay.
Là, dans celui-là, on ne peut absolument pas prédire les éruptions. C'est impossible de prédire les éruptions. Contrairement à hier, où on pouvait le faire. On le sait. Tu vois?
Arrête, j'en dégage. J'en dégage.
Oui.
J'en dégage, arrête. Beau diamant.
Oui.
Non, t'as 4 fils, c'est incroyable. T'as 3 fils et une fille.
C'est pas arrivé à faire des soirs. Ok.
not no. You know. I never have to. No. That is like,
Bye.